format where we're all so close to each other, you can actually throw things at one another with great accuracy. It's going to be a lot of fun here in the new year on the OH.Report video podcast, and we're sure glad that you joined us live and free right here. My name is Brian Skorotsky, but I got the whole crew back with me. We'll hear from them in a minute. But first, here's the topics that are up for debate today. How about the NFL regular season? It just ended. How do we all feel about the state of our current favorite franchise? Does the return of Klay Thompson mean that the Warriors are actually the biggest beasts in the West or anywhere on planet Earth where basketball is played? Will multiple girls basketball teams that play in the high school game right here in North Central Ohio be able to advance past the round of districts? We'll discuss that, as well as who the best high school basketball team for the boys is and who has the best gym. But first, let's meet the squad. Hayden, say hi, buddy.
Hello there. That's all I got for you.
That's Hayden Gray. He's a man of many words, but he likes to keep it close to the vest until the show actually starts. Let's now go down some country roads to West Virginia's own Travis Big League Berardi. Say something.
It was a victory Monday for all of us.
Woo!
Everybody
Hey!
got a win last night, even though I think I lost 15 years out of my life from yesterday, but we'll get into that later.
And then if Ren and Stimpy could take human form, I would liken them very much to these two right over here. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hey, what's going on? Lions won, unfortunately, but we're doing all right.
Still as fat as usual, guys. G-Man here. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
All right, so that's everybody who's going to be talking today. And as Travis mentioned, a victory Monday for all of us for the first time all year. So that's right, our favorite team all closed out the regular season with a bang. Big dubs in Week 18. But how do we really feel about our franchise moving forward? And since only one team out of all of our collective fandom is still playing into the postseason, let's unfortunately hear from Steeler Nation first. And Hayden, since you had so much to say at the beginning, I'm sure you saved a lot for now. What do you got for me?
Yeah, as you said, Brian, in all honesty, if we would have thought what one of our teams would still be playing, probably wouldn't have said it would have been Travis and I's team, but here we are. So, it's been an emotional roller coaster the last few weeks. Big Ben's last final home game was emotional enough. Gets the win, heroics, everything that it should have been, it was. And then, we have a 9% chance to make the playoffs. And everything that needed to happen happened. The Jaguars somehow beat the Colts, a beatdown, really. And then, we get our win in overtime. It's quite the tearjerker, to be honest. And then, like Travis said, man, you're going to have the years taken off your life. Somehow, they don't end in a tie. Monday Night Football, the Raiders. It was close, but, so we're just, it's Big Ben's last rodeo, and we're just letting it fly at this point, nothing to lose.
Yeah, what an ending to the regular season. I know that Travis was an absolute nervous wreck. If you were following on the Twitter sphere, you know that he almost didn't make it here today due to heart complications. Every second of the regular season was needed to somehow squeak you guys in.
First of all, I would like to thank the Jacksonville Jaguars for doing something that nobody expected would happen, and to easily knock off the Colts. That was step one. Step two, Ben Roethlisberger had one final game-winning drive in him. Twice did he convert on third down. Once did he convert on fourth down, and then the Wizard of Boz, hits the game-winning field goal in OT. And then all of us Steeler fans were like, you know what? That game's going to somehow get overtime, and they're probably going to run it down to the last 2 minutes and think, hey, Chargers, Raiders, let's just kneel it. Let's finish it out, and let's just, keep the Steelers out of the playoffs. Well, first half, okay, big lead for the Raiders. We're feeling fine, and then the Chargers start coming back, and that bad feeling gets back into my stomach that just left me from that Steeler game earlier.
Could have been the lunch you ate.
B-Dubs. B-Dubs has good food, though. I don't know, but maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. Get to 2 seconds left. Chargers 15 yards away. I think, just one stop. They get the touchdown. They force overtime. Teams kick field goals. The way that was ending, if the Chargers did not call that timeout with 30 seconds left, the Raiders probably run it twice and they get that tie. But for some reason, the Chargers call the timeout for no apparent reason.
Oh, no, they wanted to get their defensive run stoppers in the game.
Yeah.
I heard from their coach.
Yeah.
It worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what he says happened.
Staley's a genius.
Nonetheless,
So, okay,
the
Trash,
Raiders
we all
win it,
know.
but
We all
I-
have,
it's-
the TVs,
Yeah,
the
I know,
sports centers.
but
We
it's
know how
just-
we got there. How the hell do you guys feel about your team?
We're playing with house money. We're probably gonna get boat raced next week in Kansas City like we did a couple weeks ago. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it for you or anything like that. But we're playing with house money. Ben got to the playoffs his final year. That Ravens game's probably going to be the final one we get. But, hey, one more week of wearing Steelers stuff. It's fine with me.
I don't really know how to approach this one with my team. I feel like when you're a Browns fan, it's almost like you're going to an AA meeting and you just have to get it off your chest. You have to start the conversation that way, like, hi, I'm Brian, and I'm a Browns addict.
Hi, Brian.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. And, I really feel like, as much as I hate to say this, that Juju Smith-Schuster kind of said it best when he said the Browns just is the Browns. They disappoint their fan base more than Storm disappoints his diet routine. You know what I mean? We just can't ever seem to get it right, even when we have great players on the roster. So for me, I would say that this, in terms of like getting a grade card at the end of the year from me as a fan, it's like a solid D, maybe a D plus, since we beat the Bengals and we got 4 straight in the Battle of Ohio. But I just feel like Baker Mayfield, the chip that he has on his injured shoulder, for whatever reason, cost us a season. He did not want to give Case Keenum a shot to step out there with all the great athletes that we have and prove that maybe it's not that big of an upgrade to have an injured Baker Mayfield over a healthy Case Keenum. And I really, I feel like at the end of the day, that's what hurts the most. So I'm glad that we have Baker for one more year. I want to give him a shot. We'll see if he can even stay healthy for a season to prove to us that he's better than what he showcased this year. But how am I feeling as a Browns fan heading into the offseason? Like this was the most blown opportunity of any team in the NFL, bar none. When you looked from top to bottom at the roster we had, why couldn't Kevin Stefanski just play Kate to Odell Beckham Jr.? Just give him one handoff a game or something. Make him feel happy about himself. Every move that we made this year after the first couple of weeks just felt like it was a disaster. The play calling sucked. Peyton Manning said it really well on the Manning broadcast against the Steelers. Just give the ball to Nick Chubb and get out of the way and shut up everybody else. They couldn't do it enough, so I'm a little bit dissatisfied heading into the offseason, even though I do get to wear the shiny jacket one more time because of the win. Now
All right,
I got
there,
that
bud?
off my chest.
You good? You good? Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. You're supposed to clap now. Thank you. Okay. All right, now let's call Garrett up to the stage. Now, Garrett, go ahead. Share your feelings about the Minnesota Vikings. How'd that go?
Yeah, it was kind of just like your season, Brian. A lot of expectations coming into a year, and now the GM's fired and Coach Mike Zimmer's gone too as of right now. They both have been let go as of Monday morning, so it's kind of sad. I kind of grew up with Zimmer as my head coach for 8 years, as well as Rick Spielman. He was with the organization for 16 years, and now he's gone. So I don't know how we're going to compete next year. I don't know who's going to be the QB. The roster's going to be very different, but how do I feel about this season? It was a big letdown. I think you said that you guys were probably the team that should have been in the playoffs the most out of everybody, and I think we'd be right behind you guys. Our roster is loaded top to bottom, just like you guys. Jefferson and Thielen and Cook, and just loaded offensively. Defense, we spent $46 million in the free agency last summer. Absolutely nothing. 31st ranked defense. So, just garbage performance and garbage coaching for the majority of the year. Clock management was bad. It was just a mess, really, from the get-go, and just a lot of letdowns. And they continue to do this to me. So not as bad as the Browns, though. We at least sometimes compete, get in the playoffs, but I don't know. Just a massive letdown and another year of Vikings misery.
Do you want Kirk back as quarterback, or who would you want as a quarterback for your team next year?
That's the issue. I don't know if there is another guy that's going to be able to come in and be competitive. There's not a guy in the draft, at least so far, that I see that I want to come in, and with his cap hit, he's going to be very hard to trade. I think he's got a $45 million cap hit. It's one of the highest in the league right now.
Well, don't the Browns have enough cap space? Would you want Kirk Cousins back there?
Yeah, me and G-Man have actually talked about this. It's an upgrade from our current quarterback play. That's not a negotiation or an issue. Of course, we'd love to have him in there, but not for that money. We can't do it and keep the same roster.
The problem would be no one's going to play him on that cap hit. They would have to extend him so then they can flatten that out to get it down to probably $35 million, which he's been on his whole Vikings career. So I don't know. I've heard Steelers, I've heard Browns, but I think he's probably going to be back. But they did fire the GM too, which is kind of a tale that he's not going to be back, because the GM that signed him, I feel like a new GM's going to want his guy. They're going to want a different guy. So I don't know. I guess we'll see here soon.
So at least for us, the Browns, we're not used to this. We're going to have the same coach in place again, guys. The same GM and upper management. It's all still going to be there, and actually a lot of the same pieces. So there is a little bit more hope for our future, but one place where there's almost never hope. Let's go there now. Let's head out to Detroit with Storm.
Hey, I'm Storm. I've been a Detroit Lions fan for 10-plus years. It's been rough. We've had our ups and our downs, but
Storm.
I would say that we exceeded expectations this season.
Wow.
I think halfway, or 2 quarters away, halfway through the season.
2 wins and a tie.
Yeah, we were looking at the perfect season, 0-17, but I mean, hey, 2 wins and a tie, and we beat all playoff teams too.
Whoa.
And
Except
tied a
us.
playoff team.
This is true.
Yeah, true that. But still, I mean, I think we exceeded expectations. Kind of sucks we don't get the first overall pick. Jacksonville gets that because we had a tie. But, I mean, we did pretty well, I think.
And you were a 67-yard field goal from getting the 3rd win, too.
Yeah, true that.
What do you think of MCDC?
Oh, I love Motor City Dan Campbell. I think he's our coach for a while.
He's not afraid to cry either. So,
Yeah,
hey.
I love the moxie he brings. I think he's a real, if you buy into his program, he'll have your back 100%, and I love that about him. Jared Goff might not be the quarterback that we want, in the future, but our head coaching position we got that on lockdown.
All right, so I'm glad that we could hear from everybody, kind of get that off of our chest. And surprisingly, Storm, the team with the worst record this year, seems like he's got the highest outlook on the season. So bravo to you, Storm.
There's nowhere to go but up.
Keep that love, baby. Well, I talked about the Browns, and then on the other side of downtown Cleveland, how about the Cleveland Cavaliers? They've been playing pretty good
They're
lately.
a fun team. They're a
Not
fun
last
team.
night.
They're a fun team.
Yeah.
They had to play, kind of a more fun team yesterday out west, I should say. 941 days in the making for the return of Klay Thompson. And he come back and he did some work yesterday. I'm sure you guys all saw 17 points. He played about 20 minutes. So now the question for us is, with Klay on the floor with the Warriors, is that the best team in the NBA? Storm, we're going to let you go first. I know that you love you some hoops, man, at the professional level. Is this the best team in basketball?
I think so. I really think that this team could beat any team in the Western Conference. They didn't play without. They played without Draymond Green last night. They still don't have James Wiseman. They got a lot of good bench pieces, and Klay Thompson. I mean, he looked like he just played a couple nights before that. I mean, he looked phenomenal. He was not scared. A lot of guys come back from an ACL injury or that knee injury, and they look scared. They look scared to lift off from it, but not him, man. He was going 100%. You could really tell, and you could tell he wanted to play more than 20 minutes. So, the Warriors, they're the team to beat now, I definitely think, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy Klay is back, and I was actually looking at tickets for those games, just kind of a little interested in it. The nosebleed seats for that game are $600, so it was quite a pricey game to get into.
Yeah, they got a couple more coins in their pockets out there in California than we do in the OH. So Klay Thompson make them the favorite to win the championship, G?
No.
No.
This team right here I'm wearing on the chest is going to win the championship. I'm setting in
down.
stone right now.
Shot
DeMar
down.
DeRozan and Zach LaVine both averaged 26 points a game. I remember in the summer when we got DeMar DeRozan, that was they said that was one of the worst signings in free agency. And I was kind of nervous about it. And averaging 26 points a game, the guy's a dog. And Zach LaVine, he has come on so strong since we traded for him from Minnesota and we traded Jimmy Butler. But it's actually fun to watch Chicago again. There was some down years, man. When I miss when we had D Rose and Joakim Noah and Jimmy Butler. But ever since then, we're back to Bulls basketball, and I think they're the best team in the NBA. A little biased, obviously. I think the Warriors will be out of the West, though. So I think if Chicago can make it, they're going to play the Warriors. I don't know if they'll win, to be completely honest. Warriors are really good, but I'm going with the Bulls.
All right, so a little bit of a biased pick for G. The only thing that I would say, though, in regards to DeRozan not being a very good signing is that he's been a great regular season player. I personally got to watch him in the playoffs, come to Cleveland a bunch of times. Didn't ever get a win over LeBron.
Different team, Brian.
Okay, I guess at least LeBron's he's partying out west these days now, so you don't have to get through him. Travis, where do you land on this?
Well, first off, shout out to the Cavs for keeping that a 14-point game. They stuck around. And like I said, they're a very fun team to watch, but Klay Thompson was just that piece that got the Warriors over the hump last night, and I think he greatly helped their odds to making it back to the NBA Finals, especially with Curry out there. But I want to pose a question to all you guys. You and I have talked about this a couple times, Brian. Klay Thompson, if he's the number one guy on another team, does he succeed as much as he does on this Warriors squad?
Definitely not.
Points-wise?
Just all around.
No.
He kind of needs the other half of the Splash Brothers, I think, to really make him be Klay Thompson. If he's the number one option, we haven't
He's
seen
an
it.
he's an
Yeah, that's what I
off-ball
mean.
player.
Like,
No ball handler.
Yeah, he's an off-ball player.
He can't I mean, he can facilitate a little bit, but not as well as anyone else in the league.
Yeah, he needs Chef Curry, cooking with that salt and kicking it out to
If
him
he
and
was
making sure the offense runs that way.
If he was the number one on another team too, he's gonna get guarded way more heavily than when you play for the Warriors. It's like, who are we gonna guard, and we got to choose at what time. So he would probably struggle defensively.
Well, since you got to pose a question to everybody, here's my question to you. Does peanut butter taste good?
yes.
Yeah. Well, that's my answer to this question, okay? We had not seen Klay Thompson play. You guys might not even remember this. It was so long ago. In the finals in 2019. That's 3 calendar years ago if you just do the simple math,
That
guys.
was what, the loss to Toronto, right?
Yep.
And he looked pretty darn good in that game. So you put him next to Steph Curry, who's probably the MVP at this point in the season. Do we all give it up to Steph for that, what he's been able to do, except for, Chicago man over here.
Rosen.
Doesn't look like he's really buying in. But Steph's putting up like 27 a game. Andrew Wiggins is doing his thing. Draymond Green can finally play Draymond Green basketball, at least for him. It's been a few years since he's been able to run that point forward and just put him at any position because Klay has been that missing component. So, unfortunately, I'm a Warriors hater. Warriors, I got that right. I don't really care for him that much. Steph Curry just doesn't bother me as a human being, but as a player he does. Just something about that franchise I don't like watching. But at the same time, real recognize real, and they look like the real deal. I think they are going to win the championship. Hayden, tell me I'm wrong.
I mean, as a Cavs fan, I'm not going to sit back and remotely say that the Cavs are going to compete for something like that. We are fun to watch this year, but we're definitely not to the caliber of that franchise yet. I agree with Travis. I think it increases their odds, but I'm not ready to say it makes them a sure bet for the championship. I think there's still a lot of teams that, I've just been learning that things are way more competitive now, it seems, when super teams have kind of expanded, which kind of ruined things. But there are teams like Phoenix, the Utah Jazz, and while they're wildly inconsistent and a bit crazy in off-court stuff, the Brooklyn Nets just got Kyrie back. They have James Harden, Kevin Durant. So I just am not ready to put my money on them to win a championship, but I definitely think they'll be there come conference finals time.
Okay. And then when you look out west, I think they're already tied for first place in all the NBA, right? I'm pretty sure
31
them
wins,
and
I
Phoenix.
think.
Yeah,
Right
Phoenix
up there.
number, yeah.
Lakers actually look old. There was all the conversation
man.
Before the season. We'll get it together. They do kind of look old. I don't know. Maybe they'll
LeBron
end up
back
being a
to
So
factor.
does that mean LeBron's going to leave and come back home
A lot
with
of
that
Lakers.
young squad in Cleveland?
That's another debate for another day. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that probably next week.
A lot
for
of
sure.
Lakers, writers and stuff, were saying that they're just talking about Russell Westbrook, how they traded for him instead of DeRozan. So,
26 a game.
yeah, for real. Got Westbrook
Yeah, that's
shooting
tall.
2 for 14.
The Lakers just kind of feel like the Cavs honestly did like a year or two ago, where it's just a random collection of talent that's either been dealt away from another team and they just don't blend.
Well, they couldn't shoot, and then they signed one of the worst three-point shooters in the league. I don't understand. Whatever.
Well, that's why we think it's kind of open in the West for Steph and the boys to get out of there with Klay. So welcome back, Klay Thompson. I'm actually happy for him. Definitely a cool guy, a funny guy, too. Let's move on to the local hoops, but keep talking about the round ball now. And Travis, I know that you were thinking about some ladies basketball teams in the area. We got some good ones, man. But how many premier teams do you feel like we really got?
Well, we have a lot, actually, this year. We have 4 front runners, I would say, but then we have a couple others. Let's start in Division II in our district, the Shelby Lady Whippets. They're just taking care of business. They got a big win over Buckeye Central. Despite not having Claudia Pfeiffer, they still, got the win there. But they still got Clear Fork and a Mansfield senior squad they got to face. I think one of those 3 teams will come out of that district and have a chance, but I think the Shelby Lady Whippets are the front runner there. Then you have the Buckeye Central Buckettes with Claudia Pfeiffer back. You have the Cecils as well. They're coming on strong. They have a chance of getting back to that regional round where they had a tough loss in that regional semifinal a year ago. They have a lot of pieces back. They want to get further. They want to get to a state Final Four. The Cardington Lady Pirates, we saw them down at Northmore. Northmore gave a great test, but this is their last ride. Coach Edwards, this is his final year. He wants to watch his 2 daughters, who are seniors as well, play at the college level. They have a lot of pieces back from last year's squad that went undefeated in the regular season and got knocked off by Africentric, who's down this year, so I think they have a chance of making it to Dayton. And then the Loudonville Lady Redbirds. Yes, they lost to Mansfield Senior. Yes, they lost to Clear Fork, but they're a D4 team going toe-to-toe with Division II squads. They're another state-ranked squad. So those teams right there, those front runners, Shelby, Buckeye Central, Cardington, Loudonville, I think they are the best bet to get there. But don't don't sleep on Mansfield Senior. Don't sleep on Clear Fork as well to compete with the Shelby Lady Whippets in their district.
Okay. A lot of good teams out there, Hayden.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, since you named those four, I'll just go ahead, and I don't even think it's really going out on a limb. I think all four of those districts we're going to see our local team are going to be playing for a regional. I'll go ahead and pick Shelby. I think they've kind of proven that they're a lot better than the other teams that are in the district, including Clear Fork, who already got a shot at them. They didn't compete very well. Mansfield Senior had Shelby drop them off of the schedule this year. I think the Tigers could be the sneaky, low-key pick that would be the upset-minded team that could get out there because they have so many ball handlers, probably match up pretty good. But you can go ahead and book Loudonville. Just put them in there with Tyler Bates and what that team's got going on. They're so good, so dynamic. Redbird's going to be playing in the regionals. And then the Lady Pirates, dude, they could, like, take the banners down off the wall and bring them to the end of the year banquet just for their district championships and use them for napkins. That's how many they have, Travis, and they're going to add probably one more to the collection.
Never have lost a game in KMAC play.
That's unbelievable.
They're at like 65-0 now. They went 63-0 with the buzzer beater last week. I think they have a couple more wins. They have never lost since the KMAC became a league. How
That's not
crazy
a fluke,
is that?
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to jump on that pirate ship bandwagon for sure. 4 teams in this area are going to be playing at the regional round. I think the better debate is, of those, who actually could make the deepest run go on to state. So I guess I'll pose that question to you guys over here. Of the top flight teams, who do you think when it matches up, and we actually get to see the tournament draw here in a couple of weeks, but I guess just competitive-wise, who could make the deepest run?
I do really think it would be the Whippets over at Shelby, top to bottom. They're just a really solid squad. Any player for them can go off, whether it be Olivia Baker or Sophie Neese, any of those players out there, they can go off when they need to, and they're returning a lot of talent, which I think is really important. They got the team chemistry, and they have, the experience in the playoffs. They're not, they're not going to have as many nerves as some other teams might. So I really do think it's those Lady Whippets.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's Buckeye Central and Shelby. I think they're definitely going to be the two teams that go the farthest out of this group. And I think with Shelby, I think we started out the year, we knew about the Baker twins and then, Sophie Neese, but Audie Albert has really stepped up and kind of become their fourth piece. I think the last few games I've covered, she's had 16 each game. So she continues to open up. And then for Buckeye Central, obviously they lost to Shelby, but they hung in that game tough, and they were losing their best players. So I think if they have Piper, they might be able to go on and win that game, but they hung just with Shelby, a very tough team too. So I think it's going to be Shelby and Buckeye Central that's going to be the farthest out of those 4 teams.
You got a different prediction or different outlook on the future?
I mean, just for discussion, I normally like to, but when I look at this list, I can't go a different direction. I think that I'm sold on everything I need to for Loudonville, Cardington, Buckeye. The one team I'm not sold on, and they're a very exciting team, and I have a lot of respect for them. I'm not sold on Clear Fork making it as far, just with some of the struggles they've had with the teams on this list. But then, as the boys just discussed, I just think the Whippets are on a tier of their own right now. I think they stay so humble. Coach Lance and Coach Gurney, 2 very experienced coaches, and as they said, if any of their top level players that they're used to seeing the bulk of the scoring are having an off night, they've just got a lot of depth. Even another name, Demi Hip, is a person who can go out and get a bucket when she needs to. So I just think they have the most depth, and they're the most well-coached team on this list.
Lady Whippets are the real deal, and finally they don't have a Santoro to deal with once they get into the district round.
They already took care of Margaretta and Bellevue, and one of the things that impressed me was without Coach Lance playing 3 bad quarters against Margaretta, they were still able to knock off them, and Margaretta's still a very good team. So this squad, already on their revenge tour from last year, knocking off those teams that already beat them. So I think they're just on a collision course with Dayton.
Well, I know you're going to be riding on the bus with some of the Clear Fork ladies. You'll have to put a little chip on their shoulder and let them know nobody's believing in them making it out of the D2 district. I did watch with an excellent game plan that they threw on Loudonville. They knocked off the Redbirds, pretty convincing too, by double digits, where they did a triangle and 2 on Corey Vermilia, kind of took her out of the game, and then their other great shooting guard. So who knows? With Becca Conrad, who I look up to like this, I mean, she is a force in the middle. She can collect pretty much any rebound that she wants at any time. Maybe that might be a team that gets it together by the end of the season, even though it's looking pretty good right now, but just none of our picks. Everyone says Shelby's got your number, but they kind of did already when you played. All right. Well, the local ladies looking pretty fine, but what about the fellas? For more on the hotness from the boys' games, let's go over to our resident good-looking guy, G-Man. What's up?
Yeah, guys, I was kind of posing the question of which boys team do you think is either the most complete or probably the best team in the area? And this was kind of a question because I've been mostly at the girls' games. Typically, I've been at Shelby, so I was kind of throwing it out there to see more of your guys' answers more than mine. But just from seeing scores and seeing some of the highlights that we've covered, I think Colonel Crawford is hands down the best team in the area. I would pick, and they're a smaller school too. I've seen your answer, Brian. The bigger schools, it's kind of hard to pick from. I can't really find one, but they have a big game against Lexington here on the 15th. That's going to be a pretty good measuring stick of how good they are. So I guess we'll see. But my pick right now with Coach Sheldon and Studer and Valentine, I think Colonel Crawford has the best chance to probably make it out of this area, and I think they're the most complete team.
Yeah, I definitely agree. 10-0 is 10-0, or being undefeated, that's no fluke. And like you said, those three guys go off for 15 a night, could go off for more. They're solid on both sides of the ball, and history speaks for himself. Colonel Crawford, one of those programs who just always seems to be good. They always seem to be really, really deadly, and not able to get it done last year in the playoffs. But I think that's going to be kind of a chip on their shoulder.
I agree. Colonel Crawford, I saw them against Upper Sandusky. It was a good game, but they had 3 scores, put up 15 points. Mason Studer, Carter Valentine, 2 guys you expect to. And then Braxton Baker, a younger player, hit 2 early threes, led the game, 8 points in the first quarter, finished with 15. Then you have Nolan McKibben and a couple other role players as well that can defend. They can score as well. I honestly believe there's 5 players on that team that can score 10-plus points at any given night. And this team's playing with a chip on their shoulder after what happened against Willard in that district semifinal. You thought, they had a chance at making a run, playing against Western Reserve in the district final, maybe going further once again. But, Willard got the best of them, and I think they're playing with motivation from that they want to get further. They want to get back to a regional this year after, the tough setback in the districts.
Well, I'm glad that you brought up Western Reserve, Travis, because that's going to be my pick. I just saw the highlights. I've seen a couple of highlights of them this year, and what I think is so intriguing about them is that last year they were scoring almost 90 points a game with Luke Rawlinson and John Scrotta. They don't got them dudes anymore. They're graduated. They are gone, and they're playing a little bit different style. They still get after you defensively, and that is how they are wearing teams down. They just cannot keep up. The bench is too deep, and they just lock you down on the perimeter. They've got too many guys that are stud athletes that make sure that you don't get by them, and they turn defense into offense just as good as about any team that I have seen. And I'll make a bold prediction right now. This team's only got 20 games on the regular season. They are going to finish perfect. They're 11-0 right now. They only got 9 more to go. Nobody in the Firelands Conference is going to give them any problems. It's going to be like just trying to smack down a couple of flies. Eventually, they are going to get it done and move on. I think they're going to be undefeated. I think it's kind of too bad we didn't get the Sheldon Bowl year 2. The only loss for Western Reserve in the regular season last year, of course, to Colonel Crawford. Everybody's picked seemingly to be the best small school. But outside of that, when we start looking at a lot of the Division II and the Division I teams here in our area, I don't know that we have anybody that's sleeping in the penthouse. Yeah, we got a couple of teams that are pretty good. They got the luxury suites, but they're not coming up to the top floor. They don't know what it's like to have the jacuzzi tub in the living room, guys. That's what I'm seeing. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day. There's no clear-cut best team. I don't know who Mansfield Senior is. They lay an egg one day, and then they're awesome the next day. Worcester comes out of the gates, I think, like 0-5. All of a sudden, they're starting to get it together, and they're winning without some of their best players on the floor. Ashland just blew it the other night against Shelby, who actually might be the best Division II or D1 school that we have in the area. And who would have thought that?
Lexington, the number 6 team in the first AP poll.
Yeah, that's fair.
8-1 when they had that, but
okay.
I mean, we had thoughts about Lexington before this season. We didn't know how good they would be returning everybody, but they've impressed us to start off. Yes, they did lose to Worcester in a tough one down there, but only 1 loss. And the coaches the AP already impressed with what they're doing. It's number 6 in the state, so I'd say Lexington might be the front runner in big schools, Brian.
I think that's fair. Hayden doesn't really have a face, or at least an expression on his face that necessarily says that he believes in Scott Hamilton, though. Why is that?
No, I think that Lexington definitely has been impressive, but correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Shelby beat them earlier this season?
Yes, they did.
So they do have...
They have 2 losses.
They have 2 losses.
Well, when the poll came out last week, it was before they played Worcester, so there you go. But
well, no, that's why I want to throw Shelby out as an honorable mention. I'm not ready to give them that title of best yet.
Homer. Sorry.
I know. It sounds like I got a lot of alumni bias today, but I really don't, and I say that because of that Lexington contest. Although they lost to a tough Willard team this year, it was a competitive game till the 4th quarter. And then I was very impressed. I tuned into our game here on the OH.Report on Saturday against Ashland. That's not an easy team to go into a Division I with a scorer like Luke Dembo and the squad they have at Ashland and win. I think they're kind of similar to the girls. They've had a lot of players develop, like Andre Hill. Marshall's not really a double-digit scorer for them, but he could be if he has to be. They have Jeremy Holloway as well, so I think they have multiple guys who can get it done when they need to. My only concern for them is something that Brian Harder actually brought up on the broadcast was, patience for scoring for them. They like to move quick, which can sometimes hurt you, those turnovers. So if they can find a way, they're going to score points. They do a good job of that, but if they can find a way to be a little bit more patient, finish out a game, I'd feel a little bit more confident with putting that title of best on them. But if I had to give best to someone, I'm confident, especially like with what Travis said with Crawford, when you got 5 ballers on the floor like that can go out and get you buckets, it's hard to go against that.
Well, with Shelby, too, that River Valley loss still sits with me.
That's true.
They had a bad game, but, River Valley played decent enough to beat them, and I just think, Shelby should have won that game. They weren't unable to, so that still sits with me. Although they did have some good wins down the road after that with Ashland and Lexington and things like that, but they still need a couple more wins to impress me to get them.
Their most
young.
elite
Yeah,
talents
they're
are
young.
sophomores. The only thing that scares me is that they're getting the ball to Alex Bruscotter when they really need it.
that was his name.
Some of the senior guys, though, too, like I don't want to overlook and discount Andre Hill, great player, but I think Travis wanted to talk me into Lexington as the best boys team in the area, at least of Division I or Division II. I think we got to give it up to Colonel Crawford and Western Reserve. We all kind of believe in the Sheldons around here, and boy, look at the track record, look at the undefeated records. It says a lot for itself, but of the top teams in terms of the big schools, I think Coach Hamilton and what he has going on with all that size, dude. They on the perimeter at any given time they can have 6'3", 6'7", 6'7" on the perimeter. What? That's some big boys. Okay, if we had enough, you guys done talking about this?
I think so.
Okay. Sure. Well, when you guys actually do take in a good game in the area, there's some very likable venues, I think, in North Central Ohio, Hayden. Are there not? I think you're going to tell us who your favorite is and why you're thinking about who has the best venue in all of North Central Ohio.
Yeah, while I'm still getting my opportunity to go to some that I've never been before, and I haven't gotten to quite all of them yet, not remotely close, but I remember during football season we talked about one of the best atmospheres to take in a game. So I thought, let's show some love to basketball and say where we thought is one of our favorite places to call a game or just watch one. And so far, for me, I'm basing it off of this year, and not just the actual venue itself, but the people in it too, like whole atmosphere, experience. And so far for me, just based off the level of games that have been played there, it's been Northmore, it's been the Castle, especially with that game against Cardington the other night. I think that there's
Travis smiling.
I know
It's
Travis
a fun place.
has taught me well. It's a great place, and I think their student section's done a good job this year, especially during those girls' games. And I think it's just been a fun place. Travis, I think you went with a different answer. I know you love the Castle. What about you? What do you think?
Wait, what?
It's a little bit. It's just outside of North Central Ohio, but I love this when we come to tournament time. It's the Canton Fieldhouse.
Oh yeah,
that place is just one of the more unique venues. It still has that old school atmosphere.
Because
you have
it's
the floor
old.
down. You have the floor like 15 feet below where the seats are. It's a whole bowl up there. The press box is like 15 feet up in the air, and the rafters kind of like you're calling a game at Duke. But it's just got that Hoosier-like atmosphere, an old-school basketball venue, and it's just a fun place to see a game and probably to play a game there as well. As we saw with Lucas when they went undefeated, and sorrowfully due to COVID, we couldn't see what they could do. But that was a fun game to watch down there.
I'm a pretty big fan of the Canton place as well. It's just got a really unique vibe to it. And when you step on some of the floor, it's a little bit creaky and stuff down there. You look up in the rafters. I believe McKinley's the winningest team in the history of high school basketball here in the state of Ohio too. So they got a lot of banners up there. It just adds to the whole feng shui of things. But is there better, closer, G-Man?
Well, so far, my best venue this year has been Shelby. It's really because I've been there a lot. But I think what makes a really great atmosphere is a great student section. And so far, man,
Red Rage always shows up.
At that Lady Whippets games, man. They've been there, and they've been always getting in the minds of the other teams and typically shouting at the refs. It just makes it a nice atmosphere. And so far, I think that they bring the most energy to their home squad. And I'm going to go with Shelby because of their student section. And I like their floor, and their lighting really helps my camera. So I'm going to go with Shelby.
Storm?
I think I'm going to take it a little bit different. A team that we don't really mention a whole lot or talk about a whole lot. I'm going to talk about the Haas down in Willard.
Oh, yeah. That's
Really-
an awesome
that's
venue.
Really love that place. I got a lot of friends and family that live in Willard, and every so often we used to go watch their games, and it was just so radically different than what I'm used to seeing at Crestview. There's just so many seats, so many places to watch from, and there's always so many people there. It does not matter. And it also helps, a lot that Willard historically has always been kind of a basketball school.
Yep.
I know as of late their girls program this year.
Just the name on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just historically a really, really good team, and I think it's a really awesome place to see a game.
It's a good place to take in tournament games. I mean, we've
Yeah.
had big upsets. Ontario knocking off Lexington a couple years ago in boys basketball. Place is packed. We've
That's
had
great.
girls district games that you guys have called. Even Lucas last year. Like,
That was awesome.
that is an awesome place to take in tournament basketball as well, just the venue itself.
You guys know how certain places just have like those like specific smells and like temperatures and atmosphere and perspective and lighting and everything, and when you close your eyes you can just really put yourself in there. And for me, when I do that and I get into the gym that I want to be in most, I start smelling the popcorn, and I smell some cologne on some old guys in the front section, and I'm sweating profusely because it's 93 degrees in there, and they do that on purpose. And that place for me is Mac Morrison Gymnasium, baby. That's right. I'm going with the Eagle's Nest because of all the different reasons that you guys mentioned. How about one of the better student sections in the
That's
entire
a loud
area?
place.
And they're right back behind the backboard, so they can really get in your head, and I think they make it tough on opposing teams to shoot those free throws. How about David Sheldon down on the sideline profusely sweating because he's got the temperature so high and he can't control himself. He can't wear jackets on the floor anymore, guys, because he has to have room for that towel because the perspiration is just flowing all the time. So you have him over on the sideline. You got a winning basketball team. You got the older guys, the gentlemen that are always at every single game in the front row. There's just something about that tiny little gym. It's a Cracker Jack box that I just want to go to every single time. And how about the cheerleaders setting it all off when they come out? EAGLES. They get it rocking in that place. And
I
I
think
tell
Brian
you what,
really likes this
I
place.
can't wait to be there on Saturday to watch them take on Lexington, the best small team versus the best big team on my list. That's going to be one hell
Get
of a
this guy
game.
a water. You good?
Let me calm
You
down.
all right? You all right? All right.
Okay. That's enough. That's enough, guys. So, have I convinced you that the Eagle's Nest is the place to be?
It's one of the loudest, at least. It is a fun place
It's a
to
fun
take
place,
in a
yeah.
game, but that's
I guess I'll have
loud
to
in
go
there.
there.
Okay. Glad we can all agree on that. Okay, guys. Because it's always football season here on the OH Report, that's why I'm playing with this little football. Let's make some way too early predictions about some high school football right here in the area. G-Man, I'm going to toss this over to you first. You got the floor. Take it away, buddy.
All right, guys. This is I don't know how this is gonna go over with all you guys here on the committee here, but my way too early football prediction for Week 1 is I got the Madison Rams knocking off the Shelby Whippets in Week 1.
Storm, look at Storm breaking out in a sweat.
And under their new head coach, Mr. Valentine, 167 and 105 all-time record, 7 conference titles, 11 playoff appearances, a Hall of Fame type coach. This is the sort of coach you want in your building. This is the coach you want to play for, a prestigious guy like Coach Valentine, and with a full offseason to get underneath his belt. And with Shelby losing a bunch of guys like Bowman and Shepard, a historic offense, it's a perfect storm for Madison. I'm taking the Rams in an upset Week 1.
I don't think you're too crazy, G. I really don't.
I don't either. Go ahead. Toss me that football back. Because I'm going to piggyback right off of my friend Garrett here, and I'm going to say a lot of the sentiment that he just said because I believe in Scott Valentine. When I went over to practices and I watched him in action, because he put together what they call a squad of his staff, not just your normal everyday teachers out on the football field. They had a squad out there, fellas. That's what he's going to bring to the equation for Madison. And to me, they are going to prove the coaching matters at the high school football level more than any other place on planet Earth doing anything else. That's right. Scott Valentine is so good that my bold prediction is that the Madison Rams, who have been abysmal over the last few years, they haven't even been in games. So don't talk about wins. You're talking about wins. We're just talking about being competitive. They haven't been able to do that. Scott Valentine's going to take that program into the postseason. That's right, Ram Nation. You are going to be rocking in a playoff game out in the student section. The gang green is
Brian was about
going
to
to be
start
involved.
crying.
They haven't been to the playoffs
He
since
said a measure.
2014.
Maybe
Nine
this
It's been a
new-
while.
Maybe this
9 and
expanded
58.
playoffs
It's
working
been
in
a
their
while.
favor.
But I'm saying since about half the teams get into the big dance this year, if Scott Valentine is your dance partner, boy, your foot's going to be in lockstep. You're going to be one of the, the kings of the ball. So I'm going with Madison to make it into the postseason.
Actually tossing this one to Travis.
So my bold predictions, not quite bold, but I think Crestview will go back-to-back as Firelands Conference champions because, yes, they lose some main pieces, but they still have a ton of talent coming back. And I'm going to give this question to G as well. Yes, they lose Connor Morse, but they have a quarterback. They still have some linemen. They still have some wide receivers. And I'm not that crazy, am I, saying that they're going to do this?
No, they're going to win the Firelands Conference again. I'm not sure if it'll be close either. I mean, they're getting Hayden Kuhn back. They lose Gabe Smedley and Connor Morse. I think they retain their whole entire offensive line. Gavin Barker, he was an All-Ohioan, I believe, as a freshman at center. And he's a small guy, too, and he holds his own down there. Mason Ringler's coming back. They lose the Gotzi twins, Briar and Aiden. But I think this team, it's a pretty easy pick, I believe. Unless, we always see a surprise. Crestview was surprised last year in the Firelands Conference, so I guess we'll see. But as of right now, I think that's a pretty good pick.
Anyone ever heard of the Flyers?
Yeah, but
We've
I
seen the
still think
Flyers last year.
Crestview
That's
has the
done.
pieces.
agree
That
with you, yeah.
And
that's done
with
as time,
Carey,
Ryan.
Carey, baby, state champs, they're losing a lot. Can Crestview make a run? Do
That's a
they
little
have
too
the
early.
pieces to make a run? We'll talk about that.
Yeah,
It's a
way
fall and
too
everything.
early.
Now we're going
Yeah,
way,
that's
way.
Hey.
little way too early.
Hey, way too early. I'm just saying, but I think Crestview, back-to-back, Firelands Conference champions. They swayed me during the regular season after the big wins against the K-Max squads. It made me a believer, and I am still a believer in you guys. You're gonna go back-to-back. G, Storm, take it over. G, Storm, both of you. Nope. Okay.
Hot potato.
All right. Well, I'm putting a lot of pressure on one guy and one guy in particular, and that's going to be Highlands' Dane Nauman. And now this guy was an absolute freak last year. He was, ironically, the runner-up because someone named Lincoln Mollenkoff exists. But he was the runner-up leading rusher in the area last year as a sophomore. I believe that he's going to take Highland in their first year in the MOAC, and he's going to single-handedly lead them to a MOAC championship now. Ooh. That's really high because Highland's losing their quarterback. They're losing another senior like Jay Melchiori,
Who made one of the best catches I've ever seen in my
hands
life.
down.
I know these were bold predictions. I didn't think these were nutty predictions.
I'm
way
just
too
going
early.
full crazy here because the MOAC, they really haven't had someone in that conference that's been a dominant runner like this guy since Shelby had like Owen Fisher, Devin Brooks. We're going all the way back to that. They haven't had to face that kind of rush attack. So I'm just going to say he's going to put the whole conference on his back and take them. We will see how well that ages.
Victor Skoog, I hope you're
I
out
was
there
about to
watching
say,
with
yeah.
all your other
Clear Fork,
pack
maybe?
of Clear Fork
Hey, I
Colts
got-
that are
I got
ready to
another
stand
one.
heat for the
I-
MAC this next year.
I'm not hot on Clearfork.
Galleon Tigers, watch out!
Uh-oh.
I got to give a shout out to my Tigers out there. Watch out! They're gonna make a run.
I think the Whippets might even be relevant too, but maybe not. Storm?
I think the Whippets will
He's
be
a
relevant,
football.
but that's not who I want to talk about. I actually want to talk about Crestview as well. Pretty much you guys nailed everything on the head, though, when you guys were talking about it. They're returning a lot of talent at those skill positions. Hayden Kuhn's coming back, and he can sling the rock.
He can wrestle too. Just watch them win the
Oh, he's
J.C.
a-
Gorman.
he's a stud.
Why is that
Congratulations,
family
he
so
is a
talented?
stud.
That's outrageous.
all
Their
of them.
father.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Mr. Timmy.
Yep.
Timothy.
Has him in the weight room
Weight
at
room
5
at 6
a.m. before
every day.
school.
I remember, man, growing up around that family. They're in
Yeah.
the weight room day in and day out.
Okay, so it makes sense.
Yeah, but they lost Connor Morris. Obviously, that's a huge loss for them. But I think Steve can get it done. I think old Coach Haverdill will get it done. And I think they have a chip on their shoulder in the way they went out of the playoffs last season. I think they're going to want to make a run. And beating St. Paul, I think that they're going to have, they got that winning taste in their mouth. And I think they're going to want to ride with that.
It tastes so good, doesn't it? Just a nice victory. Nothing better than that. Put that in my cereal bowl every single morning. That's what we do here on the OH.Report. We're so glad to be back doing the podcast, aren't we, guys? Woo!
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to do it again next Monday. We're out of topics for today, but we do want to show you what we have the week ahead right here on the OH.Report. Lots of action, including tomorrow night, Worcester and Shelby in a boys' highlight for all the marbles in one game. What do you think, G-Man?
It's going to be an awesome game, and I'm sure Storm's going to love this one. I mean, Shelby, we talked about it. They're the best team in the lower divisions. Worcester just coming off a big win against Lexington, I seen. So another test for Worcester as they're starting to get going, and Shelby to see if they can continue to reign supreme.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to that one. We're going to have a sweet highlight for you guys. And then Mansfield Christian holding it down at home against Temple Christian. I am going to be on the call for that game along with Travis Berardi. And I do look forward to seeing the Lady Flames in person. They went down live and free on the last game. I think they got stunned a little bit by Lucas when they made that trip to the Cove Cave. Can they bounce back?
Well, you know what, talking with head coach Tyler Bates earlier before Loudonville beat Lucas at their home court, I asked him, I said, is there any other teams, you know, in the conference that you're kind of worried about? He said, you know what, Mansfield Christian gave us our toughest game in conference to that date before Lucas almost knocked them off. So, you know, when you get the respect of one of the best coaches in the Mid-Buckeye Conference, I think you're going to have a good squad. So I'm looking forward to see what they have to offer.
All right, here's what else we have to offer this week. Nothing on Wednesday. No games really going on. So Thursday, how about this? A 3-pack of highlights for you guys. Let's begin with Madison versus Lexington in the OCC. Storm Blunchley, we're going to have you over there. Madison came out of the gates really hot early on. Lexington has not really been competitive in some games, but you never know. That's why they tip it off, and it's a conference showdown.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen either of these teams play, so I'm very excited. My first taste of both these squads, so I'm pretty excited to get out there and see Madison again as well as Lexington.
Look out for Faith Kuhn for Madison. I've been getting stat updates from her. She's averaging a double-double, and she's probably one of the better players in the OCC. So you'll be in for a show from Madison.
Yeah, Faith can really ball. The only problem is that they don't have any quality ball handlers, and she's a big girl. If they can get her in the paint, she's pretty unstoppable, kind of like a Becca Conrad, except for she's got a more versatile skill set. Can she get some pieces around her? You can find out on the highlight when we post it on Thursday night. G-Man, guess where you're headed again? Surprise, surprise.
Back to Shelby to see them Whippets. I mean, it's good watching quality basketball, so I can't complain. And they handled Pleasant earlier in this year. Hayden was on that highlight, so Pleasant, I mean, they got a tall task ahead of them, but I think Shelby will get this one done.
And then the game of the night, obviously, out of all those matchups, Clear Fork, really quality team. In River Valley, I believe these are the top 2 in the MOAC, outside, of course, of Lady Whippets.
And River Valley knocked off Clear Fork at Clear Fork earlier this year. But I got something special planned for you guys. Just talked to head coach Scott Sellers. I'm going to be on the bus. I think you guys are going to make me a little lunch, get out of my backpack, take the bus with the girls, get some locker room access as well. We're going to do an all-access highlight of this one. And he was telling me if they do get the win, it is one of the loudest rockin' buses on the way back because they just go all out and have a dance party. So hopefully Clear Fork gets the win. We'll get you some of that footage of their victory celebration afterwards. But I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be a really good game.
I look forward to packing your lunch and seeing that victory celebration with you in the mix.
Crunchy peanut butter, please, on my sandwich.
And extra snack pack.
Sussy.
All right, moving on to Friday. Can we? Okay, so live and free, our game of the night over at East Knox and Howard. Northmore against the Bulldogs. Travis, Storm, you guys are calling that one? Fun game action, man.
It's always fun with K-Mac Trav on the call. It would be my first time calling with you this year, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You know, G really impressed me as my color guy a couple times. I'm looking forward to see you make the call play-by-play because, you know, last year you made some of the highlights with some of your calls, so I'm really looking forward to that one. And it should be a good game. This game at Northmore earlier this year, it was close in the fourth quarter. East Knox was able to pull away late, make some free throws, and get that win. But this Northmore squad, they've won, I believe, 5 out of their last 6 games as well. East Knox just lost a tough one to Centerbridge. So they're trying to stay in the conversation for the K-Max. So you have 2 of the top 3 teams playing on Friday night, so it should be a good one down in Howard.
Also live and free for you guys, we are going to have some NBC action. Crestline on the road at Lucas. Yours truly is going to be on the call, and I'm still looking for a color commentator, so drop me a comment if you think you know a thing or two about hoops and you like spitballing about the games during the games. Let me know. Who knows? We might just throw you right next to me, slap a headset on you. Really looking forward to seeing those Tom's brothers play back in action in the Cove Cave. A great venue. And Crestline, this is the last team that they'll have when I was a teacher over there 3 years ago where I still get to see some of my students play, so I look forward to seeing some of those kids that were some snot-nosed freshmen all grown up and as seniors now. Are they any good? I get to find out. All right, boys highlight 2, Ashland and Lexington. Who's going to be doing that one? Hayden.
That'll be me. That's going to be a good one.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, you and I saw the game at Arrow Arena where Lexington came back from 2 double-digit deficits to pull off the win. So
Yeah.
this should be
Round one
Ashland
was
looking
good.
for revenge, Lexington looking to stay possibly state ranked. We'll see when the
And make
rankings
sure
come
when
out
you
tomorrow.
head over there, Hayden, give us Scott Hamilton a slap on the back and just say, I don't believe. Good luck tonight. And then wander off.
Yikes.
Okay. Mansfield at Worcester. G-Man, in your stomping grounds. How do you see this one playing out?
This is going to be a good one. I think this might be one of my first boys highlights of the year. I think it honestly might be. I've done a lot of girls, and now boys, I'm excited for this one, especially Worcester. They're starting to get going, and Mansfield Senior, one night they're up, one night they're down. It's going to be a good one. It's a rivalry game, too, so I'm excited.
I'm guaranteeing you're going to see some dunks.
Can't wait. I don't think I've seen a dunk this year.
Never fake the funk.
The girls
man.
aren't dunking this year?
No.
Becca
Ooh.
Conrad comes close, but I don't think I've seen one yet.
Okay.
Never
Well,
fake the funk.
hopefully Mo Ware can put on a show for you. Micah McKee, too, 6'6", so you should be able to elevate, throw one down. So I'm going to say 2 dunks in your future at least, G-Man. All right, let's spin it to Saturday night to wrap up your weekends. And we've got 2 live and free games for you guys. St. Peter's and Mansfield, a true battle between, rivals here. Am
Yeah.
I calling this one? I can't remember. I'm sorry.
It's me and you, right, G?
Uh,
that's us.
No,
Eric
okay, yeah.
Storm.
Tell me
You
more.
got
Tell
you
me
got
more.
the highlight of the night,
Oh,
though,
that's right.
Ski.
We'll save me for last. Go ahead, guys.
Duo on the call. I think it's been a while since
been a
we've
while.
had a call,
It's been
so
a couple
and I
weeks.
don't think I've
Getting
seen
the
either
band
of these
back
teams
together.
play either. But my mom teaches at St. Peter's now, so kind of in their corner, a little bias action.
I'm a Mansfield Christian's corner.
Oh, rivalry right here now.
Go
Ooh.
Flames.
Okay. The other live game that we have going down on Saturday has Northmore at East Knox, the girls edition. Travis and Hayden, looks like you're going to be back over in K-Mac land.
Yeah, we'll make a trip down to Howard. Definitely a unique place to take a game in. But those Northmore girls, they've been giving people a run for their money, so I'm definitely excited to see this one. Travis, your thoughts?
Lexi Wenger and Reagan Swihart almost slayed the Dragon, or I guess plundered the Pirate, you could say. Almost handed Cardington its first ever loss in the K-Mac, but just not enough as Beth Hardwick hit that 3 at the buzzer. East Knox also a pretty good game, and I know Gene Storm, you saw this at the Castle when it came down to the last moments.
Yeah, it was a game-winning shot away, and both teams, man, they're rivals, and they come in the game, and nobody knows who's going to win, Travis, because I thought Northmore was going to win the game, and then East Knox pulled away, and then it just kept going back and forth, so I'm going to continue. You'll probably see that on Saturday.
You're right, too, because last year East Knox had the higher seed
Yeah.
in the tournament in the sectional championship game. Northmore goes down there with only, I think, 5 wins on the season, knocks them off to get to a district. So, it's a big rivalry game where you just throw the records out.
Yeah.
Brian?
Yeah, so we're going to have another girls highlight to Shelby Lady Whippets. We have them every single game. They're going to be playing Marion Harding this time.
Because they're so good.
I think they're a formidable opponent, so could be a decent game. The Lady Whippets haven't played many of those. They just seem to steamroll everybody, and then the game of the night. Yeah, I'm going to be there. That's right, in the best gym in all of Ohio. That's right, Mac Morrison. I'm going to see you guys over there. I cannot wait to be dripping sweat and smelling that popcorn and giving some dap to some of the old-timers. It's going to be a heck of a night. Who's going to win? I don't know. I think it's anybody's game. I think this might be the first time the Colonel Crawford is actually going to get tested on the season. Lexington, a very formidable opponent. Well, that's going to do it because we got to get to Cleveland tonight. We do have a live and free game for you this evening. Magnificat's going to be on the road at Hathaway Brown. I'm going to be on the call along with Travis, so we got to get on the road. But I want to thank you guys for coming on board here with us in 2022. Say so long. Looking forward to many more of these moving forward. Till next time, guys.